Good morning, all of you. So, I'm audible online.
Yes, sir, audible.
Yeah. So, as you can see, this is today's Indian Express. I will show you 3 different articles. We'll try to understand whether you make any sense out of these articles, because we have been spending around 1 week or 10 days on a year. So by this time you should be able to see what these articles are trying to tell you, right? Next thing is the use case scenario. That means when you see an article, okay, the ultimate point is what is the use case scenario. That means, am I going to use this article? Okay, am I going to apply this, right? And what are the takeaway points? So when you look at this headline, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Okay, let's go back to syllabus copy. GS paper 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are 4 GS papers. So where will you use this article? In paper 1? No? Paper 2? Yes. Where? Paper 3? Internal security. Apart from paper 4, any chance of using this article in paper 4? No? Okay. Right. So there are 15 members in UNSC, right? There are 15 members in UNSC. All the representatives of all the 15 countries came to. Sorry. Right. So again, there is a terrorist called as Sajid Mir. He is based on Pakistan. India wants him to be designated as an international terrorist. Okay. So, but China is saying, you know, I'm not interested in you allowing you to label him as a terrorist. So why are all these things happening? One of the reasons that China says is inadequate or lack of proper evidence. Okay, China is saying that you don't have proper evidence. But if you think about it logically, it is helping Pakistan. So China wants to help Pakistan. Is it morally correct to save your politics or political connections that you are promoting indirectly the terrorism? If you read the UAE minister's statement, he simply says, like, whenever you promote terrorism, even Jaishankar says the same thing, that whenever you promote the terrorism, it will always come back to bite you. Okay, so terrorism anywhere is a threat to peace everywhere. So today you might be thinking that I'm being China. If I stop Pakistani terrorists, it may not come back and hurt me. But in the long run, every time terrorism anywhere will not stop. It will keep spreading only. Yes, it's like a virus. And one thing you can notice is UAE is an Islamic country, right? And UAE is saying that terrorism is bad. So what does that say? India and UAE relations are good. Okay. And if you observe the statements of Bilken, that is a US. Okay, US statements, the highlighted parts in the 2 columns, middle column, second column, and the third column. What is the highlighted part say? Say when it comes to proscribing some of the terrorists, the Security Council has regrettably been unable to act in some cases because of political considerations. So it is outrightly blaming China that you are playing politics. Okay, again, that is a statement by Bilken. Okay, the US Secretary. Okay. Next, if you look at the second highlight, it also says Security Council needs to work on transparent fashion. Right? Everywhere we are talking about UNSC, United Nations Security Council. So the other day I asked you a question, right? Is UNSC working? Is it a failure? Yes and no. Why yes? At the ground level, you are not doing anything. But at the same time, in theory, I can scold you by using UNSC. If there is no UNSC, we cannot bring China to accountability. Okay. And what is the 1267 committee? Mm. Mm. Is it? More specificity? What is UNSC 1267 committee? Any idea? UNSC list of terrorists. UNSC list of terrorists. Is it exactly what it is? Okay, which all terrorists anywhere in the world? No. Why? Isn't it about all terrorists? It is specifically created towards Al Qaeda and ISIS. Okay, so mostly Al Qaeda. Back then it was Al Qaeda, right? Then slowly the list expanded. So putting them as affiliated to Al Qaeda means that you are banning the financial resources. As you can see in the third column, last highlight, the terrorism continues to get necessary financial resources to thrive. So at the end of the day, it is all about money. Okay. So if you read the first highlight in the third column, it clearly says, when you allow architects of terror attacks to go unpunished, what are we sending the message? We are sending the message that terrorism will be tolerated. Okay, there is no such thing as good terrorist and bad terrorist. Terrorists are terrorists. See, all these are direct points we can use in the answer writing. One is terrorism should not be politicized. Okay, second thing, India, China, Russia, and all these countries are members of SCO. Okay, SCO has anti or counter terrorism measures. When we talked about West Asia, there also we said one of the common areas is counter terrorism. Saudi Arabia and all these countries fund terrorism, that is terror financing. So if everybody says that they are friend of India, India's major agenda is to remove terrorism, then you should not support terrorism. But in spite of this, if Pakistan is getting benefits, if terrorists are getting funds, that means somebody somehow is helping terrorism, whether it's Pakistan directly or deep state actors. China is supporting Pakistan, and that is giving breathing space for Pakistan to give money. Okay, as you know, recently Pakistan was removed out of FATF grey list. Two reasons, that is terror financing and money laundering. Okay, so if you see the 5 bullet points that are mentioned in the article, these are the 5 suggestions made up in relation to what? Counter terrorism. The first and most important thing is counter terror financing. Highlight column, last column, first point is terror financing. So somebody is giving money to terrorists. That is Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, we don't know whom. Okay, it should stop at all costs. Okay, and groups like FATF should be very proactive. Next, transparent functioning of Security Council. That means indirectly we are saying to China, okay, it's your right to block a resolution, but you should say why. You should give it explicitly that this is the reason. Do you need proof? I will give you an audio clip. It should be end of the matter. But if you just say, no, I don't want to trust it, then there is no common sense, right? The third point, right? Terrorists and their sponsors. See, if you go to the world history, all great artists, singers, painters, sculptors, whoever you take, they always have patterns. That means people who fund their activities. Yes or no? If you see Ashtadikgaja and all these things, okay, they are artists. Artists are celebrated by kings. Somebody is a pattern. So even for today, terrorism has to thrive. That means somebody is giving money, and that should not be tolerated. Fourth is, if terrorists are not getting money out of patrons, they are getting money through illegal nexus. That is organized crime, illicit drugs, and arms trafficking. So I told you Afghanistan relations, right? Afghanistan is the 90% of world's illegal opium. Arms trade, you can easily understand. Organized crime. What is organized crime? Trafficking of women, drugs, casinos. A lot of money flows into organized crimes. Organized crimes, mafia. Okay, any mafia is organized crime. For example, Dawood Ibrahim is very famous in India, right? Dawood company, D company. So if you are making a movie, you have to give certain amount of money to Dawood Ibrahim. Okay, so all these are called as organized crimes. Yes, even if you see the movie Pokri in Telugu, that is organized crime. And you'll be surprised. For example, Japanese mafia is one of the most popular mafia. It has a turnover of 40 to 70 billion dollars per annum. 40 to 70 billion dollars per annum through organized crime. So organized crime is not a joke. All over the world, trafficking of women, children, organs, drugs, this happens through an organized fashion. Crores and crores of rupees are involved. Now, all that money is leading to terrorism. And the last point is terrorists are getting smarter. They are diversifying their portfolio. That means they are no longer dependent only on cash. They are also using virtual currencies, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, yes, blockchain technology. Even terrorists are using this mechanism to transfer the funds. So that is why India was not at all interested in supporting what? Cryptocurrencies. Okay. So you can write all these 5 points in your answers whenever the question is about UNSC reforms are counter terrorism, especially in context of Pakistan, West Asia. We can use this data that we should not support terrorism. UNSC should properly function. China should not support them. Technology should be kept an eye. FATF should properly work. Okay, and organized crime should be restricted. So whenever a country is giving in the sense drugs, weapons, you should not look it individually. You should link it to larger picture of terrorism. Are you clear? Yes, keywords. Okay. Now, this is about terrorism, right? I mean, how terrorism is being attacked. And 26/11 is a major game changer for India. Why? This is the first time that USA have totally given unconditional support to India. There are no two ways about it. USA is a victim of terrorist attacks. India is a victim of terrorist attacks. And a lot of US citizens also died in the 26/11. So USA clearly told India that Pakistan is behind this. So after this, the funding to Pakistan have stopped. So right now what China is doing, earlier USA used to do for Pakistan. That means USA used to protect Pakistan from entering into FATF list or UN sanctions. After 2008, USA said, you want to throw Pakistan under the bus, happily throw it. Okay. So that is one summary. Okay. Next. Continuation of the same article. There is one more article. This is written by an IPS officer. A lot of keywords and important data. You have to connect all the dots. Okay. So we'll go step by step. So first of all, when you hear the word Samarkand Declaration, what comes to your mind? SCO. It's an SCO summit. Where is Samarkand? What is the capital of Uzbekistan? Okay, you don't need to know also. If you know, that's fine. If you don't know, that is totally okay. Here the thing is, recently we have done something called as SCO Summit, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Shanghai Cooperation Organization is mostly about Central Asian countries dominated by Russia and China. Is India a member of SCO? Pakistan? Yes. So whatever is continental security for India, technically speaking, whatever is continental security for India, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Central Asian countries, Russia, China, everybody is in one group, that is SCO. And one of the specialty of that groups is it has RATs, counter terrorism. Okay, regional anti-terrorism. Okay, that is the most important thing of RAT. So now what she is trying to tell you is there are different ways to look at the terrorism. If China is promoting terrorism, okay, China will also be a victim of terrorism. How? Two things. Next is power abhors vacuum. That means somebody should always be a dominant power in the world. If there is no dominant power in the world, what will happen? sorry, somebody will try to occupy that power. Okay. Till now, Russia used to be very powerful in these areas. Okay, Russia used to be very powerful. Central Asian countries, USSR, old USSR countries, China, India, Pakistan, everybody respected Russia. If Russia is failing, it will automatically go to whom? China. So a weak Russia under the control of China will make China more powerful in Central Asian countries and the Asian region. That is threat number one. Threat number two is Russia and China will be unbreakable twins, like they will be totally one group. Okay. On the other hand, India, Japan, and America will be one group. Okay. See, Japan and US are one. Russia and China are one. Now it is India who has to balance between Russia, China, and Japan, USA. So whose side will we take? Okay. Till now, we had the strategic autonomy because these are loose groupings. Russia and China. Now Russia, China. Okay. So if Russia becomes weak, automatically who will become more powerful in Central Asia? China will become more powerful in Central Asia. And China is explicitly doing anti-Indian activities. So that will only increase India's security threat. Okay. Next. One more point she makes is China is not ready to take the role of USA. China is not ready to take the role of USA. It is not making any statements against any terrorist groups. Okay. The reason is all terrorist groups need Afghanistan and Afghanistan needs Pakistan. Pakistan needs China. So indirectly, Pakistan and is allowing China to have peace. Okay. So if you see this group in the second column in the middle of the screen, East Turkestan Islamic Movement, ETIM. Okay, ETIM, East Turkestan Islamic Movement. Okay, so Central Asian countries have a lot of Muslim population, and their population have some terror organizations. They are very closer to Xinjiang province of China, which have a lot of Uyghur Muslims. So whatever you see on the board, all those groups are very close to China border wise. Okay, so what India is facing right now is the cross-border terrorism, right? Sooner than later, these groups will evolve into a terrorist organization, which might affect China's internal security in Xinjiang province. So that is why China is not willing to, to go against terrorists. Okay, they're even willing to talk to Taliban and all these people of the simple logic that is what? To not create some security threat. And some interesting factors. Really a good article. If you see the second column starting paragraphs in the middle of the screen, okay. Pakistani armed forces are facing problem. I told you, not all Taliban are happy with Pakistan. So if you see local Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan group, okay, they are attacking Pakistan army. Not only that, then there is a different batch called as Baloch Liberation Army. There is an area or province in Pakistan called as Balochistan. Balochistan is closer to India technically, okay, and Baloch wants a separate freedom from Pakistan. So within Pakistan there is Balochistan. So Balochistan and some Talibans are attacking Pakistan. So see, the summary is very simple. As long as you promote violence and terrorism, one day it will come to bite you back. That is exactly what Pakistan is facing. Okay. The twist here is Prime Minister Modi even raised Balochistan issue from Red Fort. Prime Minister Modi encouraged or talked about Balochistan. That means India is indirectly encouraging Balochistan's rise. Okay. All these points you have to remember. Tehrik-e-Taliban is one group which is against Pakistan, and they are even willing to kill Pakistanis or Chinese also. So if China wants to lay CPEC and other roads, they will face some kind of hatred from these groups. Okay, next. The third column, again, if you see the highlighted part, China started engaging with the Taliban deeply. There is a direct linkage between Taliban high leadership and Chinese leadership. So the advantage is China does not have a direct influence in Taliban, but China can mine or whatever only with the help of Pakistan. So without Pakistan, China is nothing in Central Asian countries, other terrorist groups. Everybody is silent right now. Why? Taliban is saying don't do anything against China. If for some reason tomorrow the Taliban started focusing their attention on China, then China will have a lot of headaches. So this is exactly what Dr. Jaishankar was warning China. So you can do time pass right now, but one day when they start coming to bite you, you will face the hate. So there is no such thing as a good terrorist and a bad terrorist. This is action. This is practice. Okay. Next, if you recognize the keywords like lone wolf terrorism. Okay. So Pakistan and what is the deep state? Did I tell you about deep state? We never discussed the deep state in the class. Not even once. Sure. I'm pretty sure when we discussed about Pakistan, I told deep state. State actors, non-state actors, deep state actors. No. Sitting in the same chair, I told in the same class. In the context of Pakistan. So that is what I said. When you read newspapers, everybody will read newspaper, but observing the keywords and writing them down is what makes you a good aspirant. If you just read, sir, I also read newspaper. If you don't understand what exactly is a writer saying, there's a gap between you and her. Okay, you have to reduce that asymmetry. Next. So basically what she is trying to tell you is deep state means some groups like terrorist groups, terror funders, or some lobbying group, let's say arms seller or an organized mafia, they will have a vested interest. State actors means Pakistan army, Pakistan government. Non-state actor means explicit terrorist groups like Al Qaeda or ISIS. Deep state actors means actors which you don't see. It's more about network lobbying. It's more about getting things done. Okay, separatists. So they are also promoting lone wolf acts of terrorism. Now Amog will refresh our memory. What is lone wolf attack?
As an individual.
Attack as an individual. What is special about it?
Is usually practiced by China.
Wolf warrior diplomacy is practiced by China. Lone wolf attack is not related to China. There are two different things. Lone wolf attack specialty is earlier, terrorists used to go for this suicide bombs and all those things. So once I start purchasing certain elements, software will highlight me. Okay, this person is probably making a bomb, something like that. So lone wolf attack means you will take a house knife, or you will buy a truck and start killing people. Okay, random terrorist attacks with the domestic tools. In Europe, in other places, if you see pressure cooker bombs. So if you buy a pressure cooker from Amazon, will anyone suspect that you are making a bomb? No, right? So using normal things, it can be a proper terrorist attack, but at the same time, day-to-day things like in London, I think there a terrorist purchased a truck. Okay, and he mowed down around 60 people using the truck. So killing 60 people using a truck is also a terrorist act, right? So lone wolf attacks. Technically, it's a lone wolf attack. But the thing is, Coimbatore terrorist was identified by NIA way back. He was questioned by National Investigation Agency. For some reason, they didn't suspect that he will do something like this. But the thing is, again, radicalization leads to lone wolf attacks. Okay. So Rajiv Gandhi assassination is a suicide bomb. It's Technically, it's a different kind of terrorist tactic. Again, LTT is famous for suicide bombers, and it's a group of people, right? So what is China doing? So China is hardening the stance at LAC. Okay, not allowing even designation of terrorists. Then I told you in Sri Lanka and Pakistan context, naval security threat, right? Like if you have a base, that is nobody's problem. Business port is no problem. But if you send submarines to the ports, that is a problem. That is exactly what Pakistan is doing. The recent docking of Chinese built Pakistan frigate at the Colombo port and Chinese spy ship at Hambantota port. So both are in Sri Lanka, right? So one is from Pakistan, the other one is from China. If they are coming as close as to Sri Lanka, that is a maritime security threat to India. And China is encouraging this using Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Lastly, so somehow all of these things are surviving only because of Pakistan's army support. Okay, so geopolitical, all of you know. Then whole gamut means whole group. Every area, every sphere, they are involving in every sphere. So as of now, what the author have said is multiple things. One is the dependency of China on Pakistan is much deeper than what we think. Okay, it is not only financial, it is for Pakistan, China's security interest. Okay, that is one way to look at the things. Second thing, if you keep promoting terrorism like this, one day it will come to bite you back. Yes. So the world does not have an option but to stop Pakistan terrorism. Yes or no? Yes. And Central Asian countries are very, very important for that aspect. Right. And last but not the least, there is a really good article in Indian Express explained section. It is an article by Joseph Knight. He's considered as a legend in IR circles, Joseph S. Knight. So if you look at cyber security and all these things, he's a person who gave the definition for like what is cyber crimes. Joseph Knight is a very popular authority, especially for PSIR students. They know he and he wrote an article in Foreign Affairs recently about how not to deal with China. The problem is China's rise is inevitable, but how do you tackle China? That is very important. So I don't want to discuss everything in this article, but there are two things. Okay, Amitabh, okay, he is trying to talk about Indian words. For example, if you look at this paragraph, yes, so he's trying to promote this context where China is using the Chanakya's rules. Okay, Kautilya's rules like Samadhana, Dandabhed, okay, to persuade or push or exploit a weakness to dominate a neighbor and beyond. Okay, and he also gives a definition. The definition is what is Dharma. So, what is Dharma of international relations? So he says a dharma should be a path beyond choice of balancing or cooperation. Okay, but that should combine what? National interest. Ultimately, national interest. Real politic. Real politic means being real, realism, like being practical. Okay, and the last one is righteousness. What is righteousness? Technically, doing things for the sake of doing the right things. Okay, so dharma is all about doing the right things. So here for China, the righteous thing is to allow terrorists to be labeled as UN designated terrorists, right? So that is righteousness. So when you clearly know that you are promoting hatred, bad things, that is not the righteous things. And this is the most important part of the article, these keywords. So this should come into your IR articles or vocabulary. The thing here is, instead of policymakers should see the relationship as a cooperative rivalry. See, we know cooperative federalism, right? In something called as cooperative rivalry or competitive coexistence. So USA versus China relation should not be seen as X or Y. It should be seen as X and Y. That means USA and China will always be there. Okay. It is a cooperative rivalry. Sorry. And it is competitive coexistence with equal attention to both the parts. Right? Any two relations, it should be competitive coexistence. See, honestly speaking, we cannot live without China. At the same time, we cannot have China's enmity. Two things cannot coexist. And the last one is the competition between China and US is not defeat or total victory. It is a managed competition that should go in your way forward. Whenever a question comes about USA, China, or something, so it is more about managing the competition. How do you coexist? How do you balance the rivalry? Competitive coexistence or managed competition. Here, managed competition. And he even goes on to expand the term dharma can be sustained only through doctrine of strategic autonomy. Our favorite keywords: national interest, strategic autonomy, everything is on the newspaper, right? Here,
Of proxy violence context with Pakistan and Afghanistan.
proxy violence means again, it's in the UPSC article, right? Okay, proxy means indirectly you're promoting the violence. So if Pakistan government does not want to involve directly, it will encourage proxy violence against India. That means it will ask Taliban to attack India. So if you tomorrow kill a Taliban, Pakistan will say, I have nothing to do with him. Proxy. So this is a group that was in the news today, right? Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, remember, all groups have a purpose and a context. Every single group is created out of a particular situation. No group is created in isolation. That means no group exists only because of existence. Everything has a purpose and a larger picture. The best way to identify this is, if you play cricket, like understand cricket or some other game, when you go to a particular area, new area, okay, a new area will have a different kind of rule. Like in one hostel, the rules are different. In another hostel, the rules are different. Or one friend will behave in a different way. So everybody will have a different perspective. So like this, if you see all the grouping names, okay, there are so many groups ASEAN, BRICS, forget diaspora, RCEP, SAARC, SCO, UNSC, WTO, right? I2U2, AIIB, BIMSTEC, G7, G20, Indian Ocean Rim Association, Arctic Council, SAARC, FATF. Every single group is a product of a situation or a context or is created by someone. See, we can even throw IMF, IBRD, World Bank also. Okay. But the thing is, these groups are showcase in the sense they are to tell a message, or it is to tell somebody something. If we go to Indo-Pacific region, again we can add some more groups: IPEF, PGII, Quad, right? We can add all those groups also. What is the purpose of every group? In my humble opinion, if you think about it, either it is dominated by USA or dominated by Russia, China. So every major power, it's like, every politician starting a TV channel. Every political party will have its own TV channel. In the same way, if every power that wants to dominate has created its own set of groupings. If you go timeline wise, UN, the very important body of all, UNSC, UN. Why was UN created? After the Second World War, right? After the Second World War, to promote world peace. Okay. Again, if you see the funding mechanism of UN, it is totally dominated by USA. It is totally dominated by USA. Yes, Britain, who created IMF and World Bank? Again, Western countries. So they are a product of a situation. So World War II happened, lot of human rights violations have happened. To promote world peace and to strengthen US position, UN has been created. So if I directly say don't do this, people will feel offended. But if I say through UN, nobody will say anything. So when UN attacks Iraq, when USA attacks Iraq, nobody have a problem. But if Russia attacks Ukraine, if there is a problem, why? UN is dominated by US. Again, two wrongs does not make it a right. I'm not justifying either of the actions. The thing is, UN is a front face or a poster for US actions. IMF is dominated by Europe and USA. Every single chairman or president of IMF and World Bank till now is alternative, right? One is European, one is USA. So they always play this game. Okay, and they did not invest in third world countries where it is not favorable to them. They only invested in countries which are favorable to them, and they pushed their agenda. Okay, right. Next, again, if you see ASEAN is a trading group. Okay, it is presently dominated by China. Yes, ASEAN and RCEP are not very different from each other. ASEAN minus India is RCEP, right? ASEAN plus 3 plus 6. So within the plus 6, if you remove India, then automatically whatever is remaining is ASEAN, RCEP. Okay, then what about SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation? Again, it is created by India more or less, or Indian surrounding countries, right? It is to promote neighborhood relations. BIMSTEC is to promote neighborhood relations, but in the context of ocean. Okay, Bay of Bengal. See, 1997 itself we created BIMSTEC, right? But we ignored BIMSTEC. We just created it and ignored it. Now we want to avoid Pakistan and Afghanistan. We are promoting BIMSTEC. That is a totally different scenario. SCO. Again, if you see SCO, it is mostly to dominate Russia and the China, Central Asian countries. UNSC, we know. WTO, it is to promote world trade. Again, it is dominated totally by Western countries. That is what I said, right? If you become superpower on a later date, you have to play rules which are already set. Yes or no? You have to play rules which are already set. Somebody set the rules. Who is that somebody? A superpower. Now you will be forced to play that rule. Okay. Then I2U2. I2U2 is to what? To increase the sphere of influence of India and the West Asian countries, especially Israel and UAE. AIIB, it is an alternative to IMF and World Bank. BIMSTEC we discussed. G7, G20 are powerful economies. IORA is to link all the Indian Ocean countries. Arctic councils, Arctic Council is a group of countries to discuss about the politics of Arctic, the countries which share Arctic boundaries. And the last one is Financial Action Task Force. This is only about terrorism. So even if you remember the names also, it's easy to recollect why, what is the context. Now, on a daily basis, on a practical basis, how many of these countries are powerful? Sorry, how many of these groups are powerful? Which are the groups we commonly see in the news? G7, G20, WTO, UNSC, these are repeated themes, right? The rest all are, they are there. Are they making any impact? Any impactful groups? Is WTO discussed? WTO is more or less dead. If you remember globalism, deglobalization, and all those things, I told you WTO is largely ignored. So the new trend is free trade agreements or regional groupings, RCEP, CPTPP, and all these regional groupings are there. Okay, so the summary is you can read all these groups, but at the practical level, the question or the application is how the group is evolving in 2022. What the group have, you can even through NATO. Okay, nobody cares about NATO. Even Donald Trump wanted to kill off NATO. Okay, almost he killed the NATO in the last minute somehow, thanks to Putin. NATO is now a powerful grouping. The summary is you can throw 10 more groupings also. What is happening in the world at the present? Okay, what are the major reforms that are needed? Is WTO helping India? WTO is more or less stalled, stopped, and blocked. Everybody is going for regional groupings. India is smartly doing bilateral groupings, bilateral agreements. CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement with UAE, Japan, other countries. Happily, we are promoting the trade. Then G7, G20. Directly G7 and G20 are totally useless. But if you think about PGII, Build Back Better, Cornwall Consensus, who promoted them? The G7 countries promoted them. That means the application of the groupings is more important. Do you remember Cornwall Consensus? Yes. Somehow, somewhere, I told you long ago, childhood memories, homework. No? We have to search the all-in-one. No? What is Cornwall Consensus?
Global cooperation to minimize corporate taxation.
Global cooperation to minimize corporate taxation. What is Washington Consensus? Improve economic and social outcomes for crisis-ridden developing countries. Okay. Your notes only, right? Your own handwriting. You only wrote that. Yes, good. Okay. In the same tone, what I'm trying to tell you is, if you see these groups, static is one part, but the application of those countries is very important. Okay, why now? Why that country is doing whatever it is doing? Is that grouping going to help? Do we need more groups or less groups, or do we need expansion of the groups? For example, Quad will do a lot of things. If you remember the Indo-Pacific discussion, Quad promotes resilience infrastructure, SCRI, India promotes CDRI, everybody is doing the same thing. You have PGIA, B3W, right? So, summary, right? So, what is SCO? SCO is a group of countries, right, which is dominated by China. China and Central Asian countries are interlinked. So before we go into SCO, let us look at Central Asian countries. So these countries are called as Central Asian countries. Which countries? అంతేనా? If you see the same map from a different perspective, you understand the geopolitical importance of Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a heart to Central Asian countries and to dominate Pakistan, Iran, right? It has access to West Asia, it has access to Southeast Asia, it has access to Central Asia, right? Yes. Now, without looking at the map, try to think of the countries which share boundary with Afghanistan. Kazakhstan? Yes. Tajikistan is different from Kazakhstan. The only person you're fooling is yourself. If you know, it's fine. If you don't know, it's easy to remember, right? So there are 3 countries which connect. There is no K directly. So you have to remember the 5 Central Asian countries. So the thing is, India started focusing on Central Asian countries. So I said one line, we have to move away from strategic autonomy to strategic influence. So right now, Central Asian countries are helpful to India because of Chinese influence or Russian influence. If Russia becomes a friend of China, then we may lose our access to Central Asian countries. Already we lost access to Central Asian countries through Afghanistan, right? If you remember the Afghanistan discussion, Chabahar port, Chabahar to Afghanistan, Afghanistan to Central Asia. That was the plan of India. But thanks to Taliban, we don't have direct access to Central Asian countries. We can take aerial route, but aerial route is not as comfortable as movement of goods and services. Okay, so the difference you need to understand. Central Asian countries are very huge in potential. They have minerals, resources, lot of market. There is a cultural influence. They are interested in buying Indian products. But for all these things to happen, India needs access to Central Asian countries. But right now, who is totally dominating Central Asian countries? China. How? Using this single group called as SCOs. Okay. For understanding sake, I think there is a fact somewhere here. Okay, India is hardly doing any trade with these countries, whereas China is having a very good trade. So if you see this particular paragraph, the trade between India and Central Asian countries is less than $2 billion. Okay, now look at the last line. In the same areas, more or less, China have $140 billion trade. So if you look at Central Asian countries as small countries, then you are heavily mistaken. So that is the market that India lost to China. Okay. So thankfully, as of now, still today, Russia is having a very good influence in Central Asian countries. So if we have access to Russia, we also have access to Central Asian countries. But you know, friend's friend will always be some stranger, right? He won't be totally your friend. So what should we do? We should start developing the friendship with Central Asian republics. So India should have more direct connect with Central Asian republics, more trade, more people to people connections, more cultural exchanges, more of everything. That is what India is targeting. And common sense says every billion that you do business with some other country, it is an asset to India. Every single rupee you spend is a value addition to overall influence of India. More trade means more influence. Right now, if you go and ask Central Asian governments, do you want to choose between India and China? Which country will they say? Eyes closed, they will say China. Why? 2 billion, you take it. Nothing, right? 2 billion is nothing. But 140 billion is a huge amount of money. Apart from that, there is also a very good Belt and Road Initiative connect. We don't have access to Central Asia directly. So that is a handicap of India. Do you remember the map? Please remember the map. Understand, India does not have access. They are very good resources. Okay. So to cover this, India became a member of SCO in 2017. Along with India, one more country became a member. Which country? Pakistan also is a member of SCO. That is unfortunate reality. So what is happening right now? Recently, Iran also decided to join SCO. Iran was given membership more or less, but it has not been totally converted. Iran is not officially as a member, but Iran is also an important player in SCO. Okay. So observers will become members slowly. India and Pakistan were also observers once a time. Slowly they became members. Okay. Now, will this group help India? Why? Already Russia and China are there. If Russia and China are there, will these small countries listen to India?
Muslims members were there in India. Culturally, we think in future it may be in
India's favor. Suppression of China in these countries. Okay.
Suppression of need to be by China.
Again, if $140 billion trade is happening, is China actually suppressing it? That's what happened in Sri Lanka. Okay, I will tell you the Sri Lankan story also, right? Think about it. Did China actually plan to trap Sri Lankans, or did Sri Lankans fall into their own trap? They have started to fall in their own trap, right? Okay, even Central Asian countries are also taking money from Belt and Road Initiative, knowing that they will default or they have to give up some territory to China. But are they actually going Sri Lankan way? That is for time to tell. Okay, next, Central Asian countries, as I said, have one more advantage over China, that is geographical proximity. Sri Lanka does not have a geographical proximity with China. But if you do something in Central Asian country, if the hatred increases towards you, what will that come? It will come back to bite you, right? Like the terrorist groups, I told you, right? East Turkmenistan groups and all these groups will again come back to bite China. So China have a sensitive area called as Xinjiang, which is very close to all the Central Asian countries. So you have to look at from multiple perspectives. Okay. So it's a fire. If you start playing with the fire, it might go in that direction. You will ask the fire to go in that direction. But if the fire decides to come in this direction, there is nothing we can do. So the recently Samarkand in Uzbekistan, as you said, have happened. Did you observe the capital of Uzbekistan, by the way? Samarkand only. So confident. I will suggest you to read a book if time permits. What is the book name? Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. He's a Nobel Prize winning economist. He wrote a wonderful book called as Thinking Fast and Slow. It says that never ever trust your common sense, okay, or your hunches. Humans are very, very bad in both those things. 9 out of 10 times we are wrong when we only rely on and that is his theory. That is why he got Nobel Prize. If you are looking at, it's thinking fast and slow. My favorite analogy in this year, if I'm a meme maker, I will cut a movie clip. Have you seen Singham 1? Singham 1. Okay. There is a scene where hero father asks, the constable, okay, sir, why am I constable? Why is your son a SI? Then he says, call the shop and ask them whether they got goods or not. Right? Okay. He calls and asks them the goods and he gets the phone. Then it's like 10 phone calls. Every question he has to take a phone call. Then he will say the same job to his son, Surya. He will call, okay. He will tell like the goods came at this time, the goods. So everything in one call, right? So I hope you get the analogy. No? I don't even have to try hard to insult, right? Yes, it comes naturally. So the thing is cultural connects. As of now, we don't have access. So what we can do is promote people to people connections, business to business connections, and trade connections. Once these things start flowing, automatically influence will increase. That is India's gamble. So till now, technically, we ignored Central Asian countries. In 2022 also, Republic Day, Prime Minister Modi wanted to invite Central Asian country 5 heads. The 5 heads of Central Asian republics as a chief guests of Republic Day in 2021, I guess. But due to COVID, that program was cancelled. So that simply says one thing. India has finally started expanding its strategic influence. Instead of depending on Russia, China, or some third party, if we want to dominate SCO and use it to our advantage, we need to have good friendship with SCO members. That is a win-win scenario. And as you can see, they are promoting culture and tourism as a capital. The ultimate target is we should know who are the Central Asian countries. Okay, first of all the 5 Central Asian countries, and they should know a lot about India. Saying that we are special friends is one thing, actually working on that is a different thing. So people to people connect should increase. Once people to people connections will increase, business opportunities will start evolving. Okay. Next is rights. In SCO, we can use that platform to blame Pakistan. Yes or no? Pakistan cannot escape. Pakistan has to attend SCO meeting. Whenever they attend SCO meeting, we can indirectly blame Pakistan. Okay. See, under rights, you should not promote terrorism. But who are the 2 dominating players? Pakistan and China. Yes. And as you know, we don't have access to Central Asian countries. So using SCO as a platform, we can try to regain some kind of access to Central Asian countries. So these are all the major goals of India. One is people to people connect, and the next one is security, the third one is regional integration. And if we put Central Asia at the heart of the Asian disclosure, that also gives a lot of money to India. Simple. If you do not get business, if you cannot make money, at least increase your influence. Do any one thing, but start doing something. Instead of totally saying, Central Asia is not India's friend, you should start working on either influence or money. 2 things. These are the basic concepts. Okay. And the last one is, recently we invited Pakistan to join anti-terror exercise. It's like calling the cat to what? To look after the milk. Okay. So Pakistan, so there is a joint exercise. Again, names, numbers, none of these things matter. We have to understand the concept. What is India doing? India is trying to increase its influence. How? By being active in every group. Instead of being just a member, be more active, try to regain your influence and maximize your revenues. For example, there are GI products. geographical indications. So if you look at European countries, they are doing around 80 to 90 billion dollars of business on GI products. Whereas India is such a vast country, we have so much GI products. Okay, we can do more business. So let's say in Central Asia, maybe we can sell Kondapalli ties. Okay, maybe in some some normal art in Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan closely matches with toy making. Maybe we can join hands. We can create a cottage industry, business to business connections, and that might spread. So we are not even exploring all these things, right? We don't know. Only when you start talking, we will know what is their requirement and we can maximize that. Did you get the idea? Yes. No. What are the issues? Not issues technically. What are the areas of advantage? The summary can be in this particular point, right? We can have more relations in politics. Okay. We also have a sidetrack of RIC in SCO, Russia, India, China. See, one more thing. Whenever you go to a meeting, there will always be sub meetings. There will always be sub meetings. For example, RIC and J. This happens in lot of places. India and China are members of BRICS also, RIC, SCO also. So RIC meetings can happen either at BRICS summit or SCO. The concept is to interact more. The more you interact, more you have to face to face, the more your dialogues and negotiations will happen. But if you don't meet, there is no moral obligation. Okay, and in diplomacy, it is always like this. When you meet, you have to solve a problem. So back channel diplomacy will be happening. So when yesterday Putin praised Prime Minister Modi, patriot, great patriot and all this. Okay, so Putin is indirectly saying what? Please praise me. Yes or no? No, Modi also had to make a statement. Putin is a great Russian patriot. No? Or they might expect India to not say anything, or not India to abstain voting in UNSC. So everything will have a message, right? They don't praise you just like that. They have some expectations.
What the reason behind that China is willing to join the USA statement to this? That China is willing to work with the USA for global peace and stability.
We'll take a small break for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. So before we enter into the group discussion, right? So let us see some questions on groups, right? Every year, as I told you, there will be at least one question in the syllabus line. So BIMSTEC versus SARC, I2, U2. Yes, next is critically examine the aims and objectives of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. What importance does it hold for India? Okay, so the question is not about what is SCO, the question is about what will India gain from SCO. Then Quad. Yes, so take a pen and paper. Write down the question. What importance does What importance does SEO hold for India? Okay. Next. Second question in the 2015. Discuss the impediments India is facing in its pursuit of permanent seat. We have written two questions, right? Yes. So what you can do is, what are the impediments that India faces in UNSC, permanent membership of UNSC? Here you can write SEO, here you can write UNSC. Okay, write 10 keywords in both the sides. Okay, not answer. It should not be an answer. It should be only keywords or a line. Okay, and it should be 10 in number. Right, only 10. So that will promote your keyword thinking. Let me understand how much you understood IR. So first question is about importance of SEO to India. The second question is about problems India face in pursuit of UNSC membership. So if you want to see, you can SEO, you can look at SEO, because just today only we have discussed SEO. But your answer should be only in keywords. Then when I was doing. What is meant by impediments? Hurdles. Hearing impediment. Impediment means problem in listening. UNSC discuss చేసాము. Sorry. To bring pressure on China and Pakistan for terrorism.
Supporting.
ఎట్లా చేస్తారు జాగ్రఫికల్ ఇంటిగ్రేషన్?
Contact. Afghanistan is opposing.
The only thing you remember in UNS is coffee club. First thing. China is opposing.
The main reason is even though the USC is all supporting for the integration of India into the permanent membership, the main reason the Pakistan, all these members are opposing.
Global support లేదా? What is striving to achieve?
In the technological wise, we have that much power to be in that movie.
Russia, China influencing current UNSC members. Is it a hurdle for India?
China opposes Russia and also opposes the resolution.
China is supporting India, right? All the P4 members, P5 members except China supported India's membership. What is the economic position?
So
India. What is strategic autonomy there? క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటి? యుఎన్ఎస్సిలో ఇండియా మెంబర్ కాకపోవడానికి కారణాలు ఏంటి? సో స్ట్రాటజిక్ అటానమీ ఒక కారణమా కాదా? వాటిని వెళ్తూ వర్ణాతీతం కదా? Fear of multilateralistic.
India also
Whose fear? Is it multilateralism? Competence in what? So that is the reason why India is not becoming a member. Here you have written the question only from Chinese perspective, it seems like, no?
Also India will include people in every country. Why another competition?
So as I said, except China, all the P4 members said you can become a member. This also I told you in the class, right?
They also know that China will definitely oppose.
Mm.
That's why they are simply saying yes, why to keep India aside.
Pak support to whom? Pak is supporting China. Why? China is already a member, right?
So if that will become P5 the opposite university definitely Pak will reject.
Pakistan is not a member of UNESCO.
Once it happened, that definitely the class will.
You're assuming things.
Other than definitely asked to vote.
What is foreign exchange in SEO?
Now China's foreign exchange with these countries.
Foreign trade. Exchange is different from trade. Influence, multilateralism, direct. Yes, you can send me. You can send me the shot on the Telegram, right? Screenshot or photo of whatever you have written on Telegram. Supraja. Cultural importance of information countries. China's strategy of what towards India? So everybody's SEO is much bigger than even SC for some reason. Strange coincidence. Access to send a platform. Promote our strategic academic, cultural, multi-alignment trade. China's resistance. Lack of support from UN itself. Okay. Good. So what did you learn? What is a major lesson?
Having synopsis and keywords.
Hmm.
Calling
This is what is called as incorporation. The other day I was saying, right? Unless you incorporate things, you cannot use them. So I didn't ask you to write answers. I asked you to write keywords. So unless you incorporate the concepts and through keywords and basic data, it will always be difficult for you to reproduce. So if I ask you personally, orally, majority of you will tell me like this is what I thought, like how she was elaborating on what she was thinking or what is China's strategy. That is totally in your brain, but only when you convert your knowledge into visible words, keywords, right? That is when I will give you marks. I won't give marks for what you have in the brain. I will give only marks for what you write on the paper. So two different things. So for you to convert your knowledge from brain onto the paper, keywords are the most efficient and effective way. Okay, and basic revision, and try to remember everything in a chronological order or a logical order. For example, UNSC. If you take UNSC, what is the most obvious reason why India is not becoming a member of UNSC? The order of points. The first point should always be China. Okay, that is called as order of points. Okay, and Club is definitely clear that even say coffee club is not even the official name of the grouping, but let's say coffee club. Coffee club is just one of the impediments. Okay, order of points. First is China. Okay, second thing, lack of representation of all the continents. For example, see, you cannot ignore Africa. You have G4, you have other discussions, you have Brazil ready in South America, and all that is fine. But in Africa, okay, for the table to expand, you have 55 votes. UN General Assembly have 55 votes only from Africa. Majority chunk is in Africa, and Africa does not have a single member to be represented as UNSC. So why will African countries be interested, right? Third thing should be lack of will from the P5 members themselves. Okay, so everything you write, whatever you write is valid only, but how you put them in order is more important. Okay, so as I told you in the answer writing class also, the first 3 points will tell me how nicely you understand the topic. Yes, so right now you haven't seen others copies, but if you see others copies, more or less everybody wrote same point here and there. What is first point in her copy is fifth point in her copy. What is fifth point in her copy? Second point in his copy. It will go up and down only. It won't change drastically, right? Okay, but no, not a single person wrote all the 10 points. The thing is, sometimes you won't have 10 points. You have to stretch it. You have to use your imagination to fill the paper. Yes. Yes. Lack of global leadership, or India's lack of decisiveness in Russia-Ukraine war. These are all stretching points. Okay, after 7 points, I don't have data, but I have to write 10. I have to appear like I have to write 10. So what is the reason? So because if India, being a superpower, is not able to be decisive, what Russia-Ukraine war, India is not ready for the leadership role. I will extend it. Whether it is valid or not is a total different scenario. But after first 7 points, there is no point. The core and only reason is China is blocking, UNSC itself does not want to reform itself, then there is no unity in Africa. Okay, and consensus building is not coming from UN side. Okay, right? So nobody cares about UN. Everybody saying reforms. Even yesterday, I think Putin was making a statement. India should be a member of P5 or permanent membership. So saying is very easy. Action is difficult. Consensus building will take time. What else?
Still, we don't have that economical power. Still, we are emerging in terms of.
You can write it in technical terms, right? India's geostrategic influence is limited. Same things you're writing in a different sensation, different words, right? Geostrategic influence. That means right now, if I go and say, all the Latin American countries, please vote for me, they may or may not vote for me. It's not like you don't know the content. The problem is you have to understand after a point of time, everybody will write the same points more or less here and there. The context is why are you writing what you are writing. That is more important. Filtering out and making answer crisp. Again, unless you summarize your notes one day or you revise your notes through keywords, like what is your way of highlighting keywords? For example, you can put a box around it. You can put a underline, whatever it is, or you write it in caps. So next time when you revise your notes, at least you should know what are the keywords that I should be revising. Yes, are everything. In the long run, the bigger picture is only about keywords. So please take all these lessons very carefully. Okay, in every subject, in every topic, there is core of core, then there is the rest. What is core of core? Core of core means if I ask you about SEO this year, if you are writing mains, you will write Samarkand. In 2024, you might discard it totally. Why? India will be a leader. India will help, chairman of the summit in 2023. But right now, if this year, if you write mains, you have to use the word Samarkand. Okay, you have already mains is done. So by next time you write mains, SEO will happen. India will be the head of SEO. Totally different topic will be there. But the core of SEO is what? How it is influential in Central Asian countries, how it will help reduce terrorism, how will it will act as a balancing between China and Pakistan. So SCO is a tool for India to balance Pakistan and China, counter terrorism, and access to Central Asia. 3 core themes, that is core. If you forget the rest of the everything, who are members, nothing matters. But to write an answer, you need the core of the core. Okay. You have to put your efforts very strategically. Blindly, if you read, nothing is going to come out of it. So, what is the time that you have already invested in UPSC? 40 days. So, do you remember our conversation long ago? Yes. What was the conversation summary? I think there.
Proper plan has to be there.
Proper plan has to be there, and everybody will say 10,000 things. The problem is, it's your life, your attempt. You will be the one who will win or fail. It's not the other person, right? Anybody can tell and go away. It's you who will see the success or failure. So I told you step by step, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3. Only then it will remain with you long term. So after all these months, is it making any sense? You're working, but is it yielding result? Or do you feel a dissatisfaction? Why? First of all, ecosystem. Okay, there should be a burning passion among all the ecosystem. If I'm happy to sleep, automatically what will happen? Again, it's like, you get the idea, right? Yes. So there are some common problems. You have to have that. If this was first batch, I used to take a half an hour lecture at this point. Now that I'm matured after 4 batches, I started doing all those things. Simple. Remember one thing, preparing for UPSC is not a fashion statement. You are not proving anything to anybody. Nobody cares. And even if you become IAS, when you go to Labasna, there are 180 IASs. Sorry, 90 IASs. So you are one among so many. Okay. So even IAS is not special in India. If you go to any other country and say, I am 1 in 1 crore, even 1 in 1 crore in India, there are 140 members in the queue. Is that no? The queue will go here all the way to the gate. They are not special in India in any way. But if you want something of 140 crore population, 14 lakh people are writing, then you have to be really, really desperate about it. Ask yourself, am I desperate for UPSC? Am I even giving one serious attempt? Forget about second, third attempt. You should not have a regret, right? You should not have a, like, no, I also prepared for UPSC. That is the saddest statement. If you want something, you should be very passionate about it. Okay. The problem is, before you realize all these things, May will come. It's already November, December, winter seasons. If we will wake up late, we'll sleep early. January, prelims preparation will start. May has come, May has gone. No? Don't worry. What about anything that I said? It is not striking as accurate. So you can let me know. Varun, anta bana ichunda. Everything is going fine. What are the NCRTs you have completed so far? Not single NCRT. Amo? History and geography NCRT is done. Both. Okay. Apart from that? Economics you are starting. Meeru? Half of-
Sir,
Hmm.
not confident. Study all the plans. So no confident about it. Have to read them.
NCERT done. Geography. 11th class NCERT. Blue color economy. Blue color NCERT. Making notes also. You started? Now you are back to geography. Okay. What is the last topic you have read in geography? Physical geography done? You have to start. Okay. Done? Started. Quality only. Which class? 8th class quality. Which one? What is the book name? Life. When is the deadline? Today it will be done. Quality NCERT. Okay. So if you haven't started NCERTs, please start reading NCERT. I hope by November end you will complete at least the most obvious NCERTs. Yes. First reading, I don't encourage you to read any notes. If you make notes in the first reading, it is not a futile exercise. It is a futile exercise because you don't know what to make notes or why you are making notes. So first reading should be like a novel. You completed the book. If someone asks you, at least I read the NCERTs, then you buy the previous year question paper books, you see the questions, then make notes. And personally speaking, note making from NCERT is not at all needed. That is, there are, when you come to advanced textbook, you will find the same data again with images. If you see the PMF IAS notes, whatever notes you are making, same thing will be there in the PMF IAS in color highlighted with images. So there is no point. The concept is revision. So then when you come to questions, you will see you will see the question part. So please see questions first, both prelims and mains. Okay, so whatever the topic that you see in prelims, they are the same questions in mains also, like plate movement, tectonic movement, oreographic rainfall, how are cyclones formed, movement of ocean currents. Everything is from NCERT, but advanced version is in mains. Basic is in prelims. And, yes. Please don't waste time. Invest November entirely on basic NCERTs. It's a good thing. And most importantly, see previous year questions, both prelims and mains from 2013. Every single prelims question and every single mains question should be in your brain. Okay. చదివేస్తారు అయిపోతుందా ఇప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ చేస్తారు ముందుకు వెళ్ళట్లేదా geography. So you said economy will start. Which one? 10th economy. Indian economic development. Micro, macro.
Reading the book.
మీరు మళ్ళీ జాగ్రఫీకి వచ్చారా? 7 baga. And then none of these things will matter if you don't clear prelims. Only when you clear prelims, mains knowledge will help you. So I encourage you to focus on the basics. If you have any questions, do let me know. Supraja, any questions? Last time when I did the few questions in economics in level 11. Basically, 2013 plus is more relevant for you basics wise. So any trivial question that you feel is useless is totally skippable. Happily leave it. Don't even worry about it. Most importantly, the exam pattern has changed after 2013. So the questions are not still the same. You can even take, you can even download a PDF called as Vivek Singh 550 questions. So there is a PDF called as Vivek Singh 550 questions. Okay, it's a PDF freely available on his channel, Vivek Singh sir. If you do all the questions in that economy also, your knowledge will increase.
Where do we get the data related to which ministry is giving which yojanas?
That you'll find in economic survey. There are 550 government of India schemes. It is not humanly possible for you to remember everything, right? So whatever you read in the economic survey, and UPSC have stopped asking Yojana schemes. 2018 was the last year. UPSC is not 2023 UPSC. 2023 UPSC is not 2024 UPSC. Why? The crowd will get wiser. By in 2022, if there is a pattern of questions, okay, automatically every institute, every mentor will suggest you to do the same thing. So 2023 UPSC will update. There will be a bouncer. You have to stand and get up. Okay, then again 2024 it will be different. So you cannot, go by the same standards every year. But again, as I said, core will not change. UPSC will ask from same area, same Ashoka, same Buddhism, same geography, same plantations, everything same. But just because the question will look new, you'll find it so difficult. So the stronger your basics, the easier it will be for you. The weaker your basics, you will never clear UPSC. And the biggest myth in UPSC is, even if I give a paper today, you will get 70 marks. Even today, out of 200, you will get 70 marks. So student will assume that without reading, if I get 70 marks, next year, I will get 170. Okay, but the real struggle is moving from 70 to 110. If you get 110, you are God. Like, you are even able to write IFS. So 110 is like record score nowadays. So to move from 70 to 110 is a challenge. So if you don't read anything, you'll get 70. If you read but don't read properly, you'll get 85. But you will never cross the cutoff. Even after 5 attempts, it will be at 85 because basics are weak. So those who give interview without any preparation, even with 1 week of preparation, they will go right and they will get 110 plus. Why? It's not what they have done that year. It's what they have done in earlier times. How strong is their basic? So basics will always help. Basics are the make and break of UPSC. Current affairs, scheme names, all this is top dressing. It will hardly be 10 questions. 90 questions are basics. How do I know that? Last 10 years analysis are available on various. You can download them. You can see every year pattern. Every year they will say the same thing. 85 to 90 questions came from static. 10 questions came from current affairs. But what will student think? UPSC is current affairs. I have to read everything and anything under the sky. That is how they fail. So that is why when you are reading NCERTs, read it with utmost focus. If you have basic strong basics, you'll clear UPSC. Simple message. Now, what is basic strong in basic? As I said, if I ask you what is the grandson name of Ashoka, if it is in a prescribed textbook, for example 11th class NCERT, without looking at option, you should tell me, like, sir, this is the name of grandson of Ashoka. That is the depth that I expect. If I ask you what is the difference between article 110 and 110.1, or let's say between P wave and S wave, right? If you are struggling, then your basics are weak. Okay, so which one travels through liquid state, P wave or S wave? P wave, not S wave. S wave is short wave. P wave travels through liquid. You should not even think, right? That is the expectation. So it happens to every subject, art and culture, NCERTs, economy, same thing. So that is when people will call you as very strong in basics. It will take multiple revisions also. So ఇంకా చాలా, you have to travel a lot. Focus more on basics. Time waste చేయకండి. Time waste చేస్తున్నారా? చేయట్లేదా? Anything else? See you on Monday.